History is written by the victors. That's the clean version anyway. According to the Imperium, the Horus Heresy is simple. Loyalists were good, traitors were evil, and the galaxy burned because some chose betrayal over duty. But buried inside the 9 traitor legions were space marines who refused to kneel. They wore the colors of heresy. They fought beside oathbreakers. And when the moment came, they turned their bolters on their own brothers to stay loyal to the Emperor. For this video, Loyalist Traitors are named Astartes from those 9 legions who refused to join Horus, even when it meant certain death. We're ranking them by 3 things: how much they actually mattered, what they sacrificed, and how hard they fought to stay loyal when their entire legion branded them the real traitor. Coming in at number 6 is a warrior from the most savage legion of all, Captain Erlin of the World Eaters. The 12th Legion was infamous for uncontrollable violence, their minds shattered by the butcher's nails. Loyalty, restraint, and mercy were things Angron had beaten out of them long before the heresy began. When Horus ordered the Loyalists on Istvan III to be wiped out with virus bombs, Erlin was on the list. He survived. And when Angron himself descended to finish the job, Erlin didn't flee. He rallied the few World Eaters who still retained their sanity and led a countercharge straight into a tide of berserkers. Picture it, a sea of red-handed killers, lost completely to bloodlust, crashing against a tiny island of disciplined warriors wearing the exact same armor. Erlin's stand was brief and brutal. He was torn apart by the men he once called brothers, but his defiance matters. His existence alone proves that even within the World Eaters, loyalty and honor hadn't been completely erased. Some heroes died wearing the colors of traitors. At number 5, we have a sorcerer from a legion of sorcerers, Revuel Arvida of the Thousand Suns. Arvida was a powerful psyker, but unlike many of his brothers, he was deeply uneasy with the path Magnus the Red was walking. While others embraced forbidden knowledge, Arvida retained doubt, and that doubt saved him. Separated from his legion during the disaster at Prospero, Arvida avoided the worst of the Thousand Suns' damnation. He eventually joined forces with the White Scars, using his psychic abilities to guide their fleet through a galaxy drowning in warp storms. On Terra, Malkador the Sigillite recognized Arvida's potential. Through a secretive and dangerous ritual involving a purified shard of Magnus's soul, Arvida was transformed into something new. The lore strongly implies that this new being, Ianius, later known as Janus, would become the first supreme Grand Master of the Grey Knights, a son of a cursed legion, redeemed and reforged into one of the Imperium's most important weapons against chaos. If you're enjoying this dive into the messier, inconvenient side of the Horus Heresy, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. We dig up stories like this every week. Now, back to the countdown. Number 4 goes to a man who proves that bitterness and duty can forge an extraordinary hero, Barabbas Dantiok of the Iron Warriors. The 4th Legion prided itself on siegecraft and cold efficiency. Dantiok was one of its finest warsmiths, until he fell out of favor with Perturabo. Branded a failure, he was exiled to a forgotten fortress and ordered never to return. When the heresy erupted, Perturabo expected Dantiok to surrender. Instead, Dantiok turned his fortress into a death trap. For over a year, he held off his own legion in a masterclass of defensive warfare before escaping to Ultramar, where he became a trusted advisor to Robute Guilliman. His final stand came on Sotha, when the Night Lords attempted to seize the Pharos, an ancient Xenos device of immense power. With defeat inevitable, Dantiok overloaded the artifact, sacrificing himself in a blinding explosion that annihilated the enemy fleet. Many in-universe scholars theorize that this blast echoed across the void, acting as a beacon, a signal that would later draw the Tyranids to the galaxy. A son of a traitor legion, a hero of the Imperium, proof that greatness can emerge even from the most cynical of warriors. At number 3 is one of the most tragic heroes of the entire era, Captain Garviel Loken of the Luna Wolves. Before they became the Sons of Horus, The Luna Wolves were the Emperor's favored legion, and Loken was their conscience, a warrior scholar who truly believed in the Imperial truth. When Horus fell to chaos, Loken's choice was immediate. On Istvan III, he and his fellow Loyalists tore the Eye of Horus from their armor, reclaiming the name Luna Wolves one last time. He survived the virus bombing and even clashed with Ezekiel Abaddon before being left for dead. Presumed lost, Loken was later found, broken, half-mad, but still loyal, and recruited by Malkador into the Knights Errant. He became a living reminder of everything Horus had betrayed, a ghost of honor haunting a legion that had abandoned it. At number 2 is the man whose actions may have saved the Imperium from instant annihilation. Battle Captain Nathaniel Garrow of the Death Guard. A Terran-born veteran, Garrow clung to the old ideals even as Mortarians slid toward damnation. When the betrayal at Istvan III began, Garrow refused to participate. Aboard the frigate Eisenstein, he and 70 loyal Death Guard fought their way free, battling traitors and warp horrors alike. Beaten, damaged, and nearly destroyed, the ship made a blind jump through the warp and miraculously reached Terra. Garrow's warning gave the Imperium time to prepare. Afterward, he abandoned his legion's colors and became Agentia Primus, the first of Malkador's Knights Errant. A hero whose legion would become synonymous with decay and plague, Garrow proves that honor is not about heraldry, it's about choice. Before we hit number 1, a couple of warriors who absolutely deserve a place in the conversation, even if they didn't quite crack this list. First, Saul Tarvitz of the Emperor's Children. When the signal came to betray the Loyalists on Istvan III, Tarvitz did the opposite. He stole a ship, broke through the blockade, and warned the surface forces that their own legions were about to murder them from orbit. He organized the defense, held the line against impossible odds, and turned a massacre into a last stand that bled the traitors far more than they ever expected. Without Tarvitz, Istvan III would have been a clean purge instead of a scar that haunted Horus's forces for the rest of the war. Then there's ancient Rylanor of the Emperor's Children. Mortally wounded, but entombed in a dreadnought, Rylanor stayed loyal even as his entire legion descended into obsession and excess. He survived the Istvan massacre, endured centuries of exile and isolation, and when the chance finally came, he lured his former Primarch Fulgrim into a trap. Rylanor died trying to kill the demigod he once worshipped, a one dreadnought rebellion against everything his legion had become. A living relic of the Great Crusade, refusing to accept the perfection of damnation. There are dozens more like them, buried in footnotes and old campaign books, loyal hearts wearing traitor colors, erased by 10,000 years of Imperial propaganda. All right, with that out of the way, it's time for the most controversial pick on this entire list. Yeah, I know. Putting the Alpha Legion at number 1 is a little bit of a cheat. Depending on which book you read, they're either the ultimate arch-traitors or the most extreme loyalists in the entire setting. But that's exactly why they're here. The Alpha Legion officially joined Horus. History brands them as arch-traitors, but their story is anything but simple. According to the Cabal, an ancient Xenos faction, the twins were shown two futures. If the Emperor won, the Imperium would stagnate for 10,000 years before chaos consumed everything. If Horus won, humanity would be destroyed, but chaos would starve and burn itself out. So what did they choose? The prevailing theory is that the twins split their loyalties. One openly sided with Horus, while the other secretly worked to undermine him. Alpha Legion cells sabotaged traitor operations, aided loyalists, and ensured the war remained unwinnable for either side. If this feels like a lore technicality pick, that's because it is. But when your entire legion's loyalty is itself a conspiracy theory, it's hard not to put them at the top of a list like this. They are the ultimate loyalist traitors, because their story destroys the idea that loyalty is simple. From Erlin's last stand to the mind-bending strategy of the Alpha Legion, these warriors prove that loyalty isn't defined by the colors you wear, but by what you're willing to lose when damnation comes calling. So who did I miss? Who's your #1 loyalist traitor? Should Garrow have taken the top spot? Let me know your rankings in the comments. If you enjoyed this dive into forbidden history, like the video, subscribe, and get ready for our next trip into the lore. Until then, stay vigilant. Thanks for watching.